Hello everybody. Today here we are going to be hand feeding a clutch of cockatiel babies. Hopefully the audio is okay. I can't talk too loud with the little babies right here in front of me. But here we are. Little clutch. 5 babies. 2-3 weeks old. And we're going to give them a hand feeding. And I'll give you a few tips as we go along. Here's our first one up. Now the thing with hand feeding cockatiels, it can be a little challenging because they are such aggressive feeders. They will eat as fast as they can and as much as they can. This can lead to problems like slow crop. They will eat basically until it starts coming back up, until they burst. So you have to be careful about how much food you put in their crop. If the crop gets over full, it gets too tight, it can damage it can stretch out the crop. It can damage the muscles, making it harder for the crop to empty. This can result in slow crop, sour crop, drooping crop, and all this means that they won't get the nutrition that they need, and this can be quite a serious problem. So great care must be taken not to feed them too much. They will be very active eaters, and they will beg for more. It's a little nervous right now, the little one, just because it's all bright. I'm going to wait until he gets a good latch on, and then start feeding. You want to control his head, just to keep them in a good place for feeding. And then look at the crop, and you can feel it. You can feel the crop. It should feel like the heel of your thumb, not too tight. You can have a little bit more. And that is pretty much full for him. He will still want more. They're not as aggressive feeders at this age as they are when they are younger, 1 week old, 2 week old. Then they will scream and they will act like they're still starving even when they're full. So move him into a clean container. Go for the next one. Now you can see that there is still a little bit of food in their crop. I don't like the crop to be completely empty before the next feeding. That just keeps them from ever running on empty during the day. Their crop will empty completely overnight, and that's what should happen. Their crop should be completely empty once per day. Some people like to wait to do a feeding until the crops are completely empty. But that is a little harder because then you have to observe them multiple times between feedings, and they can all go on different schedules. The older a baby gets, the fewer times it needs to be fed. He's got a good latch on. And he is still acting hungry. You have to control the bird just so they don't go flopping all over the place. And that is full. Make sure the beak is nice and clean. hungry baby. You have a bigger one, eyes are open, he knows what's coming. Good latch, and away he goes. You hold him like this, you can kind of watch the crop as it fills. And that should do it for him too. They always act like they're starving, but you can't give in and feed them too much, because that could be dangerous. If the crop gets stretched out too much with cockatiels, it can droop, and it can droop past the point, the little hole where it leads into their stomach. And if it droops past that point, then it won't empty into the stomach. It'll just hang there, and the muscles won't be strong enough because they've been stretched to pull the crop up into a good position. Oh, I see he's stretching up. They stand up tall when they're begging for food, because in the nest the parents feed from above, and that is full. So the higher they can stretch past their nest mates, the more likely they are to get fed. And here we have a red eye. Looks to be most likely a Lutino. Just waking up. A little bit in its crop still, that's okay. That's good. Wait for a good latch, there we go. And you can see the formula is pretty much just pouring down its neck into its crop. They are very fast eaters. Tiny bit more. Cockatiels, they start off very small, but they grow into very large birds. They're actually heavier than a condor. So they go through a lot of food. And their crops are larger than other baby birds. And just because of the way that they look, it's a lot more prominent. You can see the crop working there, the muscles in the crop moving stuff around, getting food ready to go down. And it'll take them about, at this stage, about 4.25 hours before their crop is mostly empty and they're ready for another feeding. So right now they're being fed at 8 a.m., at noon, at 4 p.m. It's a little late today, and at midnight. And when they're very young, they'll need a feeding in the middle of the night, which is not a pleasant thing to do for me, but that's what they need, that's what they get. And there we have 5 cockatiels, all fed up and ready to go in their new clean container, ready to go back into the brooder. Alrighty, next time we might be feeding some condors. We have some linnies that can be fed, and I'll see you next time.